now that you have done abstract, the next step is emulate. I know that emulate means imitate and mimic and all that, and I'm not going to say it's the main part of the spiral, because that would be silly to say that. It means the others are not important. But for emulate, we need to learn something else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you about this book, and this book is about generating out of the box ideas. Because emulate and ideation go hand in hand. I'm going to talk to you about this book called The Medici Effect by Franz Johansson. And this book is about intersections. And so let me tell you what it's a lovely book. I'm hoping that every one of you will read it. But I'm just going to very quickly tell you what Johansson wants to say in the book. So this is, what is this? This is a picture of a restaurant in Horta, Portugal. It's called Peter's Cafe Sport. Why am I showing you this picture? Because Johansson, you must read Johansson on your own. It's very interesting. I won't be able to do justice to the stories that he tells. But there is one story he particularly tells of two fishermen, because Portugal is at the edge of the ocean, and after that there is vast expanse of ocean up to the West Indies and the Bahamas and all that. So Portugal is this particular place is a place where many people from different cultures, different professions meet, especially fishermen. And Johansson says that a typical conversation between two fishermen would be, okay, how do you fish? How do you do the fishing? And this man may say, of course we do the conventional way of fishing. We put a hook into the water and then get the fish. And he asks the other person, how do you do fishing? And this person will say, you know what? We don't really use a hook, but we use a sack or something like that. And when the fish is caught, when we pick up the fish and we find that we don't need that fish, we can take that fish and put it back into the sea, into the ocean, because it won't hurt. The hook won't hurt because we don't need it anyway. Now, what are these two people talking about? They're talking about their ways of fishing. But what happens at the end of the conversation? Each one learns from the other, and each one comes to understand what the other does, and new ways of fishing start to develop. So Johansson uses the Peter's Cafe example as a way where different thoughts come in, different perspectives come in, and a new perspective emerges. That is the principle of the book. So now you must have already seen this several times. The principle again is from the termite mound, the idea for the Eastgate Mall, right? So therefore, what are we learning? We are learning that emulate, which is the ideation stage, there is no magic in emulate. At the same time, emulate is a very individual effort. And when two ideas come together, a third idea is formed, right? So therefore, Mick Pierce thought about, now how he thought about the Eastgate Mall, how he thought about the solutions to the Eastgate Mall from the termites, we don't know. But the point is, he did establish a connection. And that's what we are seeking in this emulate, establishing connection between abstract and emulate. So the power of intersections, now I'm just going to give you the theory. Intersection is the perfect environment for widely different ideas to come together, and lots of ideas come together. And when lot of ideas intersect, a new idea is born. There is this, I don't know how many of you have heard of something called Cirque du Soleil, right? Cirque du Soleil in French means Circus of the Sun, and Cirque du Soleil is a very famous circus where the founder of Cirque du Soleil has actually mixed two concepts. He has mixed circus and theater. And when you mix the idea of circus and the idea of theater, you get a completely new idea of doing theater with principles of a circus. For instance, therefore, if you're doing a play on Romeo and Juliet, you may have Romeo and Juliet on a trapeze, right? So therefore, suddenly we are saying a new idea, an idea that no one had thought about before, comes into existence because two ideas intersect with each other. And that is the principle of intersection. So therefore here, I'm not going to read it, but the important thing is, look at the third line, the fourth line. The number of ideas combination increases beyond those in a single area when you step into the intersection. When you actually step into the intersection, new ideas emerge. I don't know how many of you have looked at something called association of words and thinking, that you may be faced with the problem of, let's say, making a new camera, right? You want an idea for a new camera, and you're looking at an idea for a new camera. Suddenly you think of water, and now there are two ideas. One is the idea of the camera and the idea of the water. Now, what is the attribute of the water? Attribute of water is free flowing, water is transparent, while camera is about taking pictures. So suddenly in your mind you can say, wait, what if I join these two ideas? The idea of the camera and the idea of transparent water, the transparency of water. And suddenly join these together and you get an idea for a transparent camera where you can actually see the workings of the camera. Again, another idea that I often think about is water can be easily swallowed and camera is about taking pictures. What if these two ideas merge? I make a small camera that I can actually swallow, and that's very, very prominent in the medical field. So what are we learning? We're learning when you let your mind think about new associations, all these associations come together to form a new idea. Now, this is good exercise for you as for your emulate section, because emulate is about ideation. So the question is, can we create new solutions using new intersections? Yes, we can. What could be the new subjects that you could learn? Now, supposing you're working on an engineering problem, building a bridge. Do you think that there could be a connection between building a bridge and cooking? There could be, you never know. Supposing you watch a gardener working and you have a problem to solve. You have a big problem to solve. You say, okay, let me take some rest, and then you watch a gardener working. Is there something from the gardening that you can pick up by way of idea and apply it to the engineering problem you're solving? Of course you can. You never know, right? You never know, because all you're doing is connecting several concepts. So therefore, the question is, what related yet unusual subjects can help us? So don't let your mind be restricted only to one branch of science or one branch of engineering or one branch of something. There could be something from other fields that you can actually use in order to help you in your work. What are the questions that we can ask in our mind? And this is the word that I love, which is called, can we be deliberately creative? Can you not please leave creativity to chance? Can you actually say, I know how to create new ideas? The word deliberate is purposeful. Is saying, don't disturb me for the next 10 minutes. I'm going to sit down and generate new ideas. Instead of saying, ideas will come to me anyway. They are called top of the head ideas. Those ideas that come to you anyway is called top of the head ideas. But deliberately making ideas is using techniques like this, techniques like intersections, where you pick up the problem that you have, and you have several ideas. You put all these concepts on a drawing board and try and mix 2-3 concepts and find out where it takes you. You're going to have exciting times when you're going to be doing emulate. So now I hope intersections has given you enough excitement to go very confidently to emulate. That's one of the important attributes of for for creativity, for generating new ideas, that you go with a lot of confidence. And where does confidence come from? Confidence comes from essentially telling yourself that it's okay not to get great ideas in the beginning. No idea is great or small. There is nothing called a great idea or a very bad idea. No, it's not there at all. I don't know why we keep on using adjectives for ideas. It is simply ideation. And your mind is trained to give you lots and lots of ideas. If you use things like intersections, it gives you even more ideas. So right now we are on emulate. Emulate is that portion of the spiral where you generate ideas for your solution. There is no particular method. There is no particular method. Each idea is different. The same person will make different ideas every day, or over a period of 2 hours you'll get different ideas. So therefore, look at it as a fun session, right? Absolute fun session. There is not. Can you imagine a session where there's nothing called right or wrong? It's just simply fun. But there are some rules. So let's look at those rules. So what is emulate? Emulate is, how do I apply the bio-inspired strategy? That means what? I already have got some strategy from the organisms, and how do I apply that strategy to the problem? So you have two things in your mind. You have the strategy and you have the problem, and you must find out what is the idea, the solution you're getting for the problem. So what is the meaning of emulate? This is just the basic stuff. It's always important to learn the basic stuff before you start to because otherwise what happens is we don't remember the basics and we go off to something else. So emulate means copy, mimic, imitate. It's not bioemulate. No, it's biomimicry. So emulate is the core of biomimicry. You apply what you have learned from nature in the first 4 steps to a problem that you are trying to address. So therefore, now it's very, very clear, right? You learned, what did you learn? You learned define, validate, discover, abstract. Now you're doing emulate. So it's a step-by-step process. Intent is to come up with a blueprint, that is a sort of an idea, not the perfect idea. Okay. So you have to brainstorm here. You have to brainstorm ideas here. You have to brainstorm what you will use in your solution and all that. So you know what is emulate. What you are understanding from this slide is emulate is about ideation. That is, emulate is where you start ideation. Now let me show you what. You may have already seen this before, right? This is the design strategy for Mugdha. So this is what she said, and that was the problem that she had. How might we decrease hospital-acquired infections? This is the design strategy of the organism that she chose, and this is the emulate, the mask idea that she has. Now look at what you will do, right? I hope you're already ready for emulate. Now, what do you do for emulate? Just look at this slide. This is the core of what I'm trying to explain. You have the problem in front of you. How might we decrease hospital-acquired infections? You have the strategy. You don't have the solution design yet, right? Right now, what you're working with is the problem definition, the problem that you're trying to solve. How might we decrease hospital-acquired infection? That's the problem. You have figured out that there is something in this strategy that will help you. You have figured it out. That's why you did discover. With this problem, you went to asknature.org and you did discover. You discovered this organism. And from this organism, you brought out the design strategy of this organism, right? This is the abstract portion. Now you want a new idea. So what do? Look at the strategy. Absorption of thin and elastic cell membrane on the nano pattern, superhybo, and all that, and 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 finally rupture. Wait, maybe maybe there is some meaning there, right? The word rupture. What does it connote for you? Breaking through, breaking away, and you say, wait, let me keep rupture and find out how I can use that word rupture for hospital acquired infections. Remember, I'm only guessing this is what Mugdha did, right? I'm just guessing that she probably used one of these words over here and that gave her the idea. Go back to the water example. Go back to swallowing the water, swallowing the camera example. Swallow gave me the idea of swallowing a camera. So maybe rupture is what is giving me the idea for a mask, right? But keep it, keep it. You can't really define exactly what it is. So therefore, how might we increase hospital acquired infection? And she has got this mask idea. Look at the next strategy she employs, right? So the parent beetle, what does it do? It actively makes and delivers molecules and all that, and it the molecule is an enzyme, and it can provide immunity to prevent. Wait, provide immunity. How might we decrease hospital in acquired infections? Provide immunity, and that's probably what's given her the mask idea. What I am trying to tell you is there is no definite method to go from abstract to emulate, which is the idea. But you use the abstract, you use the problem definition in order to go from abstract to emulate, right? Just go ahead and try as many ideas as possible. Talk to your friends, talk to your teachers, talk to your professors, tell people what you're trying to do, and you never know which idea you will say, this is what I want to work with. For the next 4 or 5 slides, I'm going to help you understand emulate in a deeper sort of way, so that whenever you don't have to do it right away, whenever you are trying to do emulate, you can come back to these slides because these are guiding slides for emulate. It's not possible for me to leave you only with this slide. It is important for me to get into the depth of emulate, which is why I'm going to do the next few slides. Let's look at emulate in a deep way now. You know what is emulate? Emulate is generating ideas from abstract, combining abstract and the problem definition, right? There is no right or wrong idea. Okay. Now brainstorm ideas and concepts. So therefore, brainstorm as many ideas you want. Brainstorm itself means getting several ideas. So what are the patterns, connections, and relationship between your design strategies? Keep an open mind, right? Do not try to fit your ideas. Don't start saying, I want to make a mask and somehow make the mask fit into your plan. That's not a good way at all. Keep an open mind. Wait for the ideas to come to you. Quantity, not quality, right? So generate as many ideas as possible. Some of the creative sessions that I have run, people have generated 20, 30, 40 ideas. There is no limit to ideas. What happens is you do first time, for the first few minutes, all of us do what is called top of the head ideas. Everybody generates an idea. Ideas for going on a picnic. Everybody says different ideas. And then we use, different techniques and all that. And then at the end of the session, we have about 40 ideas for a picnic. Ultimately, we'll use only about 2 or 3 ideas. So quantity, not quality. Uncover patterns and relationships. You can make a mind map, right? You can put all the ideas on a piece of paper and look at the connections between one idea and the other. Just look up mind map. Try and mind map as much as possible. Mind map is a very lovely tool. Visually organize all the organisms and living system you identified. So suppose you have identified 7 organisms. Put those organisms visually on a chart. So how do you look for connections and patterns? So what is the context? You say, what is the context of this organism? And what is the context of the problem that I want to solve? So look at the context. So therefore, then you ask for scale. Are the strategies operating at the same or different scale? So is it a nano scale? Is it operating at nano scale? For instance, the lotus leaf is about micro scales, right? Very, very micro. And the termite mound could be maybe macro, and things like, is there a scale that I have to look at that these organisms are operating in? Patterns, is there a repetition of the form structures? What is the behavior of these organisms? How are they behaving, right? Relationship, what is the relationship between what is the relationship I should look for between two organisms? How much information do I have? How much do I make use of as much information as possible? How much information do I have about the problem itself? How much information do I have about the organism? Maybe it's not enough to collect information. Maybe you can collect more and more information from different sources. And how do they interrelate, right? Go back to intersections. What are the different, for instance, if there are 4 organisms I have chosen, what is the interconnections between these organisms themselves? So what we are really doing is think as much as possible about the problem that you have, about the strategies of the organisms, and keep an open mind and let your ideas flow. So one of the ways you can do it, because remember, one very important thing to remember in all this is that you will probably forget why you started this. You will have to remember why you are doing this. Anyone? Why are we doing this? You are doing this because you have a defined statement, because you want to solve a problem. Keep your defined statement prominently in front of you. Don't, in inverted commas, lose sight of your defined statement, because that's what you're going to solve. So write down your how might we question and ask yourself, it's a beautiful line, right? Very easy. Ask yourself, how does the strategy that I'm dealing with help in solving this problem? So your defined question, keep in mind that the purpose of all this is to solve that problem. So your defined question is very, very important. Don't get carried away by your ideas. Always try to bring your ideas back and say, this strategy, this idea I have, how does it solve my problem? So capture all the ideas you get. Don't worry if your ideas are not complete. Just one scribble is okay. Don't judge your ideas. We have this habit, right? We are our worst judges in a way. The minute we have an idea, we say it won't work. Don't do that, please. Many times, friends and relatives and other people say it won't work. But that's okay. We're not bothered about that. In this case, you should not judge your ideas. Do not judge your ideas, because it's when you come to evaluate, I will talk about judging your ideas. Right now, it is not your function to judge your ideas. And you can pick up small components from every idea and make all of them into one big idea, right? And so what are we learning? We are learning that emulate is about ideation. Once you have examined all the design strategies and have recorded several ideas, you can start grouping them and examine. It's not necessary that you simply stop emulate. You can continue to capture additional ideas whenever you get. Of course, there must be a logical end to the ideas, but you can continue to generate the ideas. Ultimately come to a decision on which is the solution that you want. Okay? And finally, this is, I think I already told you, but I want to say it again. Don't fit an existing solution to your idea. That's a very lazy way of generating ideas. I already start with an idea. The minute I have looked at the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal, I have got an idea in my head. And that is the only idea I have. I'm so excited because we are so much in love with our own ideas. I'm so excited by that idea that everything I do, define biology, I discover abstract, everything is to serve that idea. Don't do that. And focus on the strategies. Keep looking at the how might we question, right? So once you have done emulate, you have to go to evaluate, of course, right? So look at evaluate, examine the promising ideas in the context of the. I have to go back to the slide. So therefore, once you have done emulate, and then you have to do evaluate, there may be a need sometimes to iterate between emulate and evaluate. There may be a need to iterate between evaluate and emulate. So therefore, keep your emulate ideas, and once you go to evaluate, you may have to change some of your emulate ideas. And just a marker for you. I'll come back and explain it in a deeper way later on, the unifying patterns. But the unifying patterns can help you to strengthen your ideas, make your ideas stronger. So all that I've told you up to now is about emulate. You don't have to learn all this at a stretch. The depth of emulate that we have told you up to now is simply to help you come back to emulate again and again and again. It is not something that you will learn overnight. It is not something that you will be able to master overnight, but it is important that we give you all the information we have on emulate so that at some point of time you become a master of generating ideas. For the moment, remember it very simply that emulate means ideating, and you will have to remember the connection between the strategies and the problem. And that's a very simple way of doing emulate. Strategies and problem. What is the connection I see between the strategies and the problem? So this is just examples, some drawings of emulate from the students. So therefore here you see some drawings. Drawings are very powerful because drawings help you see the strategy in a clearer way. And ultimately when you get the idea, when you get the emulate idea, you can actually draw a quick drawing of that idea too. So therefore what you have learned is emulate. It simply asks the question, how do I apply the bio-inspired strategy to the problem that I want to solve?